I want to just weigh in on this subject. The Houthis are humiliating us. I'll give a hat tip to a National Review online headline. The Houthis are humiliating us. This is a very bad state of affairs. And we can see once again from the John Kirby press briefing today that the Bidens are afraid of their own shadow. Anybody can intimidate them, including Houthis. You know, once upon a time, the Houthis were declared terrorists. That shouldn't be too hard to understand because they are terrorists. They were designated as such at the end of the Trump administration, and then for some mistaken reason, the Bidens moved the terrorist designation off. No satisfactory explanation has ever been provided. And one reason for removing the terrorist label could have been a Biden attempt to pour more humanitarian aid into Yemen, which is another stupid move. And now, despite the fact that the Iranian-backed Houthi terrorists that control Yemen are threatening to close the Red Sea, the best Kirby could do and the best the Bidens could come up with is that they're going to conduct a review right now with no decisions made. A review. Take your time, folks. No problem. Mind you, the Houthi leaders have announced that they will attack Israel-bound or Israel-owned ships in the waters around Yemen indefinitely. But the Houthis are hitting them anyway. So essentially, the Houthis are trying to disrupt about around 10-12% of global trade that passes through the Red Sea. So far, oil prices have increased only 5% or so, but a worse oil spike is, of course, possible. 12 shipping companies have redirected their vessels to avoid the Houthi waters, including oil giant BP and shipping giant Maersk. Be that as it may, our stock market has been unaffected and, in fact, keeps rallying to new highs. We'll get a report on that in just a few minutes. So there's no economic or financial crisis just yet. However, the Biden administration is trying to put a coalition together to do something about the Houthi problem, and nobody knows exactly what the Bidens have in mind. Not a single large Middle Eastern country is part of this coalition. And the question is, why haven't the U.S. responded to these Houthi attacks up to now? Does the lack of response make us look weak? Of course it does. But wait a minute. Appeasing the Houthis is the same thing as appeasing the Houthis' paymaster, Iran. Over 100 attacks against U.S. military assets in the region have occurred without a single serious U.S. response. Just a couple of pinpricks somewheres in the middle of Syria. This amounts to an feckless foreign policy. Of course, it goes back to the Bidens' terrible miscalculation that a nuclear deal with Iran is possible, that Iran could be a civilized member of the Middle Eastern nations, or that Iran would give up its goal of destroying Israel and destroying the United States. None of that ever had any merit in the first place. It was a naive policy of the worst kind. And part of that policy included the relaxation of banking, energy, and economic sanctions on Iran. And that relaxation has financed Iran's monetary comeback, which in turn has given them even more resources as the paymaster to all the terrorist groups in the Middle East. Literally, every decision Joe Biden has made concerning the Middle East has turned cold as stone. And don't forget, even today, U.S. lodges no complaints with Communist China, which through its large-scale purchases of imported Russian and Iranian oil has helped to finance 2 wars against America. So now, even the Houthis are humiliating us. What a very sad state of affairs. Very sad state of affairs. And that is my riff. Now,